We've been chatting on Facebook, and I've been a fan of your work, and I just wanted to get you on my show, and I was coming up with things to chat about. We were talking about the R&B divas, and maybe you could talk about them, but at the same time, you never said that you had this brand new album coming out.
Yeah.
Why so humble?
Probably my wife. She told me I'm just no better than the next person.
Oh, no. I saw you a couple times last year in the city, and your album is great, and I guess we should just start the interview. We have Warren Wolf on the phone. Warren Wolf is a top-tier jazz vibraphonist who just released a new recording called Reincarnation. The vibes are a staple in the jazz world, like Lionel Hampton, Milt Jackson, Bobby Hutcherson, Roy Ayers, and Stephon Harris. You may think that the vibes are old school and Warren Wolf would be sidelined waiting for projects, but you'd be wrong. Warren is an in-demand musician who is on the short list, working with Chico Freeman, Sean Jones, Cyrus Chestnut, Christian McBride, David Sanchez, and the San Francisco Jazz Collective just in the last couple of months. For Ma is the first single off the Reincarnation album, and it sets the tone for the recording. It's an aggressive and personal piece of work. The whole record is radio ready. Let's find out more about Reincarnation. Warren Wolf, welcome to Something Came from Baltimore.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Reincarnation is the name of the album, but it's not a song. What is your thoughts about the title Reincarnation?
It was because I wanted to do something completely different than what most listeners would normally hear me perform. I wasn't raised as a strictly straight-ahead jazz musician. Like my father, Warren Wolf Sr., he always wanted me to play everything from not only jazz, but classical music, ragtime, pop music, Motown, all of those different things. So when I was coming up as a kid in the Baltimore, D.C. area, my dad's band would play around Baltimore, D.C. very often. And the style that they played in that band, I mean, they played a mix of everything. Like, this is the mid to late 80s, early 90s. They were playing a lot of stuff by the Yellow Jackets, Anita Baker, and things like that. So that's honestly where my roots came from, playing a lot of soul music, a lot of, stuff like that, a lot of maybe fusion jazz, contemporary jazz and stuff like that. So I wanted to actually just do that again. I've been making straight ahead music and recordings for the past 20 years. I just turned 40 in November of 2019. So I just wanted to look at, what's the second half of life looking like, we just do something completely different.
This song goes out to my late mother, Celeste Wolf. Rest in heaven. This is for you, Ma.
Let's talk about a couple of the tracks. The first single is For Ma, and it's an aggressively funky song. It's for your mom, and you'd think it would be more somber tune, but it's not.
Before she passed away, she had early retirement. I think it was 2016 that she passed. So she had early retirement. So during those years, like right after she retired, her and my dad, so what they would do almost 6 nights per week was go down to their rehearsal place, and my dad would throw on these old Motown songs, stuff from their time that they grew up on. And she will always play like the chords and the bass line or the root of the bass, with the song. So she pretty much taught herself how to play over those last couple of years of her life. Me knowing that she was a big like Motown fan, that sound from back then, I was like, I got to do something. And I wanted to create a song that was slightly like a resemblance of the time that they grew up. So when you're hearing that song, I think the thing that really gives away on this tune that kind of goes back to that feel is when you're hearing the tambourine like throughout the song, because a lot of people, they don't really utilize that instrument too much nowadays, the tambourine. So I just wanted to create something for her and using that sound.
This one here is for my wolf babies. Zoe.
First time I saw your face, I was so happy.
Oh, my baby.
First time I held you in my arms, I cried.
My Lord.
The first time you looked at me with your brown first time I heard your heartbeat, mommy shed a tear. The first time you smiled at us, we had lots of cheers.
You're so cute.
The first time you took your first step, I said, shh, I am just so in love with you. Talk about Zoe.
I love the vocal interplay with Imani Grace Cooper and the bass man. It sounds like Imani Grace Cooper's voice is like pure effortless, like she gets out of the bed, she's ready to go.
Yeah, she probably doesn't. I remember her showing up to the studio and she's like, okay, I'm ready.
The bass man is a friend of both of ours, and he was the music programmer of Morgan State Radio, WEAA in Baltimore, and it's weird to hear him do the sexual intonations in his voice. He's perfect for it, but it's just something that, you know, I'm not used to, I guess.
Yeah. No, I had to give him one here. When I called him, I was like, dude, I got the perfect spot for you. I mean, we've been talking about this honestly for a few years, and I told him, you know, say 3 years ago, I said, dude, I'm working on something. Trust me, I will call you, and we finally made it happen.
Come Dance Dance With Me is the only meditative tune on Reincarnation. It has a really great piano work from Brett Williams. What's up with this song?
Well, the story behind that is my Sebastian and Zoe, their mom, her name is, my wife, my current wife, her name is Heather Malone Wolf. She's a wonderful, now retired, but she's a wonderful classical ballerina. You know, she does a lot of choreographing for her students at her job and at our home. I'm always telling her, I was like, listen, we should do some type of collaboration, you know, one day, like pull you out of retirement and we can do like a husband and wife performance, you know, jazz versus classical music. Well, not versus, but, you know, combine the two. I thought it would be something really cool. But she's you know, says sometimes, she's like, no, I'm retired. I don't want to do that. I'm too busy, blah, blah, blah. So I just decided to compose this tune. This, you know, like I said, Come Dance With Me. I'm determined to get her on stage with me one day. And I wanted to create the song that I feel like will be the perfect melody and the perfect segue into something, you know, that she would really love to dance to. So while I'm playing along with the piano. So the song is basically composed for her.
You seem to have great melodies and you have great songs. Some of these songs have, you know, vocals on them. Did you ever think about just doing a full-blown R&B album in the future?
I'm trying to. You know, that's what it's all about. You know, sometimes I just take a step back and listen to, honestly, I listen to a lot of what my wife says. I'm like, what do you like about jazz and what do you not like? And she tells me her feelings. And one of the things that, you know, that she always stresses to me, what she likes and what she thinks her friends would like, and others, you know, is just to have a strong melody. Don't worry too much about the solos, you know, save that for the gigs, you know, just get your melody out and get to the point and cut it. And that's one thing I try to focus on throughout this record. As you notice, I'm not really soloing as much as I normally would on any other record that I would do. So
what is your current thought of R&B and rap songs? They don't use drums anymore or bass, and they just kind of sample them.
That's just the current trend. I guess a lot of hip hop producers and a lot of, you know, people, that's just what they like. It comes to when you say that, the first thing that came to mind was that movie, Hustle and Flow. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And they show for a slight second in that movie when they was creating the track, and it was just all drums and like a P bass or something like that. And, you know, it's the same role. Everybody is doing the same. It's just something that, you know, it's just a trend right now until I guess somebody else eventually will have to come out and do something different. I recall seeing this clip on YouTube with Snoop Dogg one time, and he was saying how a lot of rappers are rapping. Well, he didn't say this one part, but I'm saying it like in musician terms, how musicians a lot of rappers are rapping in a triplet form. you know, one, that's the triplet form right there. And a lot of rappers are using that same triplet rhythm and just, you know, putting words over it. And you can probably pay out at least 25 guys right now who are doing that. And Snoop said it in this video. Everybody sounds the same, and it's carrying over to the whole drum and bass thing too. So, yeah, pretty interesting.
You're showing your guns on this album. Where do you do your workout in Baltimore?
Right now, I just switched to a gym called Anarchy Gym. It's a big powerhouse gym full of big muscle heads. What
are you listening to? What are you working out with?
Of course, I mean, I have to listen to something to feel good. You know, just to get through it. You know, also a lot of times when I'm working out and I'm listening to music. That's also weirdly enough, it's kind of like my practice time as well, because I'm just listening to stuff, analyzing things like, okay, what could be used on a future record, or, you know, just what can I do to arrange a particular song or things like that. But I'll listen to a lot of stuff from, I mean, a lot of stuff that I'm kind of listening on repeat right now is things like D'Angelo, Mint Condition, Evanescence, Mars Volta, a lot of Tupac Shakur. Yeah, you know, stuff like that. So
the reason why I'm asking is that your album is soul-centered, and it's very soulful in a positive mind, body, and spirit kind of way. And it seems like you're in a good place, and I was wondering if it was because of the gym or the music or a combination of both.
There's a combination of everything. Where I am in my life with my wife, my kids, where, let's see, from the music education side, you know, Peabody Conservatory in San Francisco, Conservatory of Music, to SF Jazz, my own groups, to all of my kids, family, you know, the gym, all of that good stuff. You know, I just feel like I'm just at a good place in life at the moment. So,
you were a kid, age 3, when you started to play. What were you thinking at the time? Were you really excited about it? And how did you know that you were really going to get into it?
Absolutely nothing. Just to be honest, I wasn't excited about music until I got to middle school. My dad, again, he was a history teacher in Baltimore City Public Schools. He taught United States and world history, and to have a 3-year-old practicing the way I was, I won't call it torture or abuse. It wasn't anything like that. It's just personally, I just didn't like it. You know, I didn't like going down in the basement and, you know, just looking back on it. I didn't like being focused so much. However, I'm very grateful for the lessons that my dad gave me when it comes to practice. So as the years passed, you know, I started maybe to like it. It's like I knew it was something I could do, and I knew I was talented for a kid at my age. But when I got to middle school, I remember we had a middle school assembly, and we played, I think, in our quote unquote jazz band. I mean, it was a jazz band. We just weren't playing any jazz. We played the Eye of the Tiger, you know, that theme song from the Rocky series. Survivor. And a lot of my classmates, they just stood up and it was like, yeah, you know, Warren, you sound awesome. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. You know, if I can get this reaction from them, you know, I wonder what can happen if we can, you know, if I just keep going. So I had no idea what was happening with my music career or where it was going, even after that moment, because after that I went to the Baltimore School for the Arts, and, you know, we had really good jazz band there, but I was, you know, primarily playing classical music at the time, so I had no idea what was taking place or what was forming. So I guess the mad scientist, aka my dad, he had a plan.
Oh, they Tiger Woods you.
Yeah, he definitely had a plan. He saw a vision. I mean, little things that he used to tell me all the time. He was like, you know, if you continue to do this, you'll make money, you'll be able to tour the world, people will love you, and you'll be able to, you know, just have a nice, simple life.
Wow.
He was like, I want to set you up with something, because, again, growing up in Baltimore City was pretty rough, especially in the neighborhood that I grew up in. You know, not a lot of musicians, especially in jazz, come from areas like how I came from. I grew up in, you know, in a pretty rough area where there was lots of drug-related activities, murders, and things like that. So, but I was so thankful for my dad and my mom for bringing me. And I have 2 older siblings. I have 2 sisters, and I was thankful for both of them to bringing me out of that and keeping me straight. So.
At the beginning of the show, I mentioned all the people you worked with in the last 2 months, and I left out a lot of people that they might not even know. Who's the easiest person to work with?
It's kind of hard to figure out just one person. Somebody who just comes in and just nails it. Probably Sean Jones. Many years ago, I did some gigs with Jazz Lincoln Center with Wynton Marsalis, and Sean was in the band then, and we kind of crossed paths then. I mean, we did cross paths, but we didn't really talk too much. We said hey and kept it going, and then eventually, I did a couple of live recordings at the Detroit Jazz Festival with the Mack Avenue All Stars, and I remember the front line for that was myself, Sean Jones, and Kurt Whalum, and
well, that would suck,
right? So that was fun, and then Sean and I, as we got closer, just over the years, we started doing small little things, and then all of a sudden, when the chair position for the Peabody Conservatory job became open, Sean and I were the last two runners, last two people for the job position. But Sean, he got the job over me, which is all good. Love that brother to death. He moved to Baltimore. It's been open arms, and we became like super close. Me and Sean, we just hung out just a couple weeks ago. We just unfortunately watching the Ravens lose, and the Baltimore Ravens lose the playoff.
Oh yeah, the Ravens. That was a terrible game. It was sad. The Ravens were great all year, and then they lost this one. Warren Wolf, your album is called Reincarnation. It's on Mac Records with a release date of February 28th, 2020. It was great to finally get you on Something Came From Baltimore.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Coming out February 28th.
Now, what did I tell you? This brother laid out on many levels with some groove, funk, and sensuous ballads. If you didn't know, now you know. What's his name? Warren Wolf. Now go tell somebody.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Something Came From Baltimore. My name is Tom Gowker. The podcast is an independent production, so that means we weren't backed by iHeartRadio or Westward One. I wish we were. I need a favor from you, and as your homework, I need you to make comments and share this episode to your friends and to strangers. You can dig deep into the archives and check out our great interviews with Sean Jones, Joey DeFrancesco, Gerald Albright, and Walter Beasley. And then here's the begging part, so close your ears. Since we are independent, we're not making any money, and not a penny of it. We are not on anyone's payroll, so we ain't getting paid. But tips are welcome by Cash App and through Venmos at Thomas Gowker. It's Thomas, Gouker for last name for Gowker. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for listening.
Something came from Baltimore. Something came.